Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Discover Your Spirit. I'm your host, Brenda Reading. I am a registered medium at Lilydale Assembly in Western New York, and this show comes to you every couple weeks just to bring up topics about spiritualism, otherworldly things, how we connect with spirit, anything that has to do with discovering more about your soul growth. And this week, I am so excited to bring to you Mr. Mike Ricksecker. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Brenda. Thanks so much for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we are just thrilled that you are here with us. And my introduction will probably take a second, so get your ears tuned in. Mike is a author and researcher and filmmaker. He has been featured on the Travel Channel's Alaska Triangle. He's been on the History Channel's Ancient Aliens and the Unexplained, Animal Planet's The Haunted, and then he has Gaia TV and also YouTube channel. He has a Facebook page. He has written so many books. He travels across the world. He researches into all the wonderful unexplained things that we have questions about. And I'm just so happy you're here with us today, Mike.
Yeah, thank you again, Brenda. I'm really happy to be here and looking forward to our conversation.
Yes. So, for our viewers, how did you get interested in all of these topics? Because I looking into what you do, it's like you talk about shadow people, you talk about paranormal events, you talk about time travel and portals and the Alaska Triangle. I mean, it's so much information. I can't imagine your parents with you as a child. It was probably questions all day long, right? So how did you
Yeah,
come
yeah.
across this?
My mother called me a walking encyclopedia. She'd be cooking something up in the kitchen, and I just would walk in with some random fact, out of my head. And I hope it was entertaining
I'm
for
sure.
them.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
So yeah, I mean, really multifaceted. And even my dad being a tool and die maker by trade, he does a lot of woodworking and things like that now. So it's like, in addition to all the kind of more supernatural elements of my persona, I actually am like very grounded and like I even though I couldn't make anything as wonderful as he, I could whip out a shelf or a little table or something like that if I had to. I can fix the plumbing and stuff, but yeah, for me, really kind of two sides of me in all of this. One, when it comes to a lot of my Egypt research, the ancient wisdom, ancient civilizations, that comes from in part growing up on Indiana Jones. I
Oh, okay.
absolutely love those films, and it just really piqued my curiosity as far as what happened in the ancient world. And I loved stories that would delve into the ancient mysteries and things like that. And then in the early 1990s, when I was a young airman stationed in Alaska at Elmendorf Air Force Base, in 1993 on television was this fantastic television show that came on, a little documentary called Mysteries of the Sphinx. It was hosted by Charlton Heston, and it
Mm,
featured the work by John Anthony West and Robert Schoch in redating the Sphinx, which just blew my mind. Like, wow, this is actually older than they previously thought it was. That's incredible. And then a year later, the film Stargate came out. So
okay.
that really piqued my curiosity and let me know. Okay, something is going on here. There's more to all of this in the ancient past than previously conceived. Um, as far as the kind of more supernatural paranormal side of me, that goes back to when I was quite young, about 8 years old. I'm an experiencer. I woke up in the middle of the night one night, and there's this tall, dark figure standing in the corner of my bedroom, which today we would call a shadow person, and that's my work in that in my book, A Walk in the Shadows. But yeah, of course, I didn't know that at the time. I thought somebody had broken into the house, and
Yeah.
a lot of things go through your mind when you're about 8 years
When you're
old. Because
eight, but it seems like a magical age, doesn't it? Because I've heard
yeah,
this between 3 and 8. I've heard this from many people.
Well,
Continue.
yeah, and I think that's because we're still new to this world. We're still connected a little bit more to the spirit realm than
Yes.
when as we get older. Um, but yeah, I thought there was this person, because I thought it was a person at first, was either going to rob the place or maybe even kill me,
Yeah,
because that's
sure.
where your mind goes. Fortunately, I'm still alive to tell the tale, which is great. Um, it did do something really, really interesting though, and it scared me to death at the time because, and I'm trying to scream, nothing's coming out because I'm just too frightened. It came over to the bed, leaned over. I'm staring into this blank black face. There's nothing there, no eyes, no nose, no mouth, nothing. Took me by the wrist, crossed my arms across my body, and then ran off down the hall, and of all places, into a closet, which is kind of interesting. So I ran off screaming in my parents' bedroom, and they're trying to console me, calm me down, all of this, and trying to tell me I just had a bad dream. But I knew I hadn't had a bad dream. I'd been awake for this whole thing. So what was this? Um, there's a lot of facets to this story and my upbringing because I had other experiences with shadow beings later on that were very much unlike this. And I would never call that a haunted house. This was a one-off incident. Another house that we moved into years later in Ohio, there was a pretty prevalent shadow person, at least for the first several months that we moved there. It was very translucent, wasn't interactive, would
Mm.
just like run off down the hall. Several people within the family saw this thing, including myself, my mother, and others. Um, Really, what kind of let me know that I was going to be involved in this sort of field for so long was my friend David and I was about I think 14 years old because it was I'm pretty sure it was the end of my freshman year of high school, and we were over our friend Lori's house, and we're just in her living room talking, teen drama sort of stuff because that's what you do. But she lived in a very historic house in the downtown Worcester, Ohio, where we were at the time. And all of a sudden, she tells us, "Well, I think my house is haunted." And David and I are like, "Whoa, okay, this is cool. Tell us some more."
Let's go over.
Yeah, exactly. So she's telling us some different stories of the house. There's the old family cemetery that's out in the backyard and this sort of thing. Her concern was her bedroom. So what she had told us was that she had this wall. It was like the haunted wall. And every time she'd put up like a poster or whatever, it would always fall down, whether it was an hour, a day, a week later. She couldn't keep anything tacked up on this wall. It would always fall down. So David and I, we're going to go check it out. We're going to investigate. So this was kind of like my first little paranormal investigation before, I mean, it's long before any of the television shows and all that. So we had
Or
no idea what
electrical
was going on.
equipment, right? All of that.
None of that. No, no, no. This is like 1989-ish, around there. And so we go up and we're taking a look at the wall. Laurie's continuing to tell us some more stories. And I didn't really realize this about David at the time. He's a very, very sensitive guy. And he put his hand flat to the wall like that. And all of a sudden, he started turning bright, bright red and started sweating profusely. I'm looking at David like, oh my gosh, what's going on with my friend? I'd never seen anything like this before. And so he starts going wall to wall in the house, touching seeing if he could find other like hot spots.
Hot spots. Hmm.
Yeah. And that was the moment that I knew that I had no idea really what this was. But somehow, way, shape, or form, I was going to be connected to it for the rest of my life.
Wow. So another person with childhood experiences. I know
Yeah.
it's the more we talk about it, the more people talk about it too, because
Hmm.
now they feel that they can, right? That was a big thing in my upbringing. It was like,
Right.
oh, we don't talk about this stuff
Mhm.
and this doesn't happen, and yeah, so oh wow. So I wanted to ask you because you are so diverse, in your field. I mean,
Mhm.
people might just lump it all into the unexplained, paranormal,
Right.
but to me, it's like you actually focus on some very diverse things. And being a medium, all right, and I've done some of my own research, and in my teaching, I try to explain some of the mechanics of it, right? Talking about the pineal gland, right?
Yeah.
It's like, so when you do this time travel, right, and what you've learned about it, it's like, because I believe we use that in our communication with spirit world,
Mhm.
okay, plus the heart center, of course. But it's like, is that also involved in, these extra sensory time travel, astral travel type of things?
I believe so because I think time travel, like real time travel, when it comes down to it, is going to have more to do with the consciousness and meditation than it is like a DeLorean, a flux capacitor. It's not going to be a machine. Um, we People have these interesting what we would call a time slip. Just for example, the famous poet Goethe. Um, it's actually chalked up if you look it up online. They'll chalk it up to a doppelganger incident, but it's really not. He was walking down the road one day. This is like late 1700s. He wrote about this around 1812, and he was walking down the road one day toward the town of Drissenheim, and he's having an affair with a young woman there, and he's kind of lost in his thoughts thinking about her and the time that they were going to share and all that. And all of a sudden he sees walking down the other side of the road this man in this interesting gold trimmed gray suit. He turns to get a better look at the guy, and all of a sudden poof, disappears. And he's like, what the heck was that? Where'd that guy go? Nothing he can do about it, so he continues walking on. Well, a couple years later, he's walking down the same road again, but this time in the opposite direction. And he starts to come up to that spot, and he's like, oh, this is that spot where I saw that guy disappear. And all of a sudden he looks and I was like, wait a minute, I was the guy. I'm wearing the gold trim gray suit
Oh
right
my.
now. I saw myself. um, so yeah, he saw himself at another point in time. He saw himself at the future, and the question becomes, what was the catalyst for that? Why did he see himself? Well, if we go back
Ah,
to the beginning of the story, when he's lost in his thoughts, it's a type of
yeah,
meditative
yeah.
state. We these days we call it zoning out, and um,
It's
we
theta. It's the
yeah,
theta.
exactly.
Yes. Hmm.
hmm yeah, so I mean, we experience it. We're driving down the road, we get lost in our thoughts, we're zoning out, we miss our exit, miss our turn. Oh, shoot,
I
got to
just
go
did
back.
that 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago. Go ahead.
exactly. Well, yeah,
True
it's
story.
theta. It's theta. It's a type of meditative state. It's not a full meditative state because if we were that, we crash the car,
Hmm.
but it's enough of one where he was able to tune into his own energy at that moment and get a glimpse of himself at another point in time. And the moment that he decided to, turn and look at it, he broke that state. And that's
Oh
why
yeah, because he
he
was in the
disappeared.
right side of the brain, right? He was in the
Hmm
right side of the brain for the moment, and then when his logical thinking kicked in, that's what happens during spirit connection. If
hmm
we don't stay in that state, right? If we don't
hmm
allow that to be, and then we let our thinking mind kick in, it
Yeah.
can break the connection. I'm sure you've been
Yeah.
told that. So
Absolutely.
it's yeah, so it's very interesting to me. Um, as I get older, I think I'm getting wiser about these things.
Right.
And it's like how very scientific it truly
hmm
is. I mean, and people say, oh, it's all woo woo, but it isn't. When you break it
Right.
down to the simplest thing, it's just energy, right? It's
Right.
just energy. And so, these things are real. I've had an experience which I felt like I was in a different place for, I think
Mhm.
once you've been able to connect into that place, I call it that place, okay, go to your
Yeah.
place, for mediumship, but I think you can also use it to access other things.
Yes.
And so you talk about portals to the stars,
Mhm.
right? And so there's all this out there now about, um, you know, are we really just a species that was, I don't want to say interfered with, but let's say helped by,
Right.
you know, star beings, or what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I mean, there's just
Yeah.
so much information out there now, and you can't get bored, that's for sure, right?
This is true. Never
Yeah.
bored. Absolutely. Yeah. And our, connections. And I do believe that we've had help. So whereas I've been on several episodes of Ancient Aliens, and I'll get people coming, oh, you believe that aliens built the pyramids. And it's like, actually, if you watch the show, nobody ever says the aliens built the pyramids. That's just, but there may have absolutely been an influence from, if you want to call them extraterrestrials, if you want to call them the beings, the shining ones, the Anunnaki,
Mm-hmm.
ultra terrestrials, which would be really like interdimensional beings here that reside on Earth. Uh, you know, we have all these different ideas as to who they are. We might not know specifically, but we had help because all these different cultures all over the world talked about coming out of the last great cataclysm that they had help. Whether it was the seven sages or all these different characters that you see written in all these different ancient cultures that are really
Right,
talking about the same
right,
thing.
across the world. And they have
Mhm.
similar drawings and similar
Yes,
things, but yet they're so far apart. And they sure didn't have internet and phones back then,
right,
right? So it's like you have to look at it from a logical point of view. It's like, and then the assumption I say, can we be so bold to think we're the only sentient beings here in the whole universe, right? I mean,
right.
it's anyhow. So I feel sometimes that my adult children, because I encourage my grandchildren to kind of think out of the box a
Mhm.
little bit. So I kind
Sure.
of come with a warning label for my adult kids.
That's great.
They're like, oh yeah, you're going over to grandma's house. Oh, look what I got. I brought back a crystal. Grandma gave me
Mhm.
this.
Yeah.
It's like I know, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. When my nieces and nephew were younger, um, it was funny because I was doing a lot more paranormal investigations and everything back then, and I'd see them on occasion, my at my sister's house or at my parents' house, and yeah, I always kept a little bit of equipment in the back of the car, and they'd be like, "Uncle Mike, can we play with your ghost hunting equipment?" Oh yeah, yeah. They'd be running around the yard with all the stuff, and it drove my sister nuts.
yeah, I know. But we have to teach, we have to encourage them because things in this world will not get better by doing things the same way. That's how I feel.
Right.
And it's
Exactly.
like they have to be encouraged to think about new things. So, but that's just me, old lady, talking here. So, as far you also have gone to many various
Mhm.
locations across the
Yeah.
world to do your research. Talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I host an annual Stargates of Ancient Egypt tour. We're going back next March. We're starting on the spring equinox, March 21st through April 2nd. So this is something we do on a pretty annual basis where we go to Egypt. It's a fantastic tour. We get special access to the Great Pyramid. A couple hours just our group, but we also go to all of these different temples. Like we have a Nile River cruise. We go up and down the Nile, just hitting all the different temples along the way that have the Stargate symbolism, Stargate chambers within these. And every year that we go, we're discovering more and more things and just
Hmm.
connecting the dots, connecting the pieces.
Now, is
So,
not to interrupt you, but for people
mhm,
that are listening, if they're interested in learning more about your Stargate event, just at your MikeRicksecker.com website,
yeah, yeah, just
www.
yeah,
Okay.
just go to the MikeRicksecker.com website, go to the events and tours tab, and you can find it right there. So,
And is the
um,
tour booked? How many people do you get to bring?
Well, we'd like to bring about 20 to 30, but there's still openings right now because we're just,
Awesome.
still a year out or a
Yeah.
little bit
And one
less than
more
a year.
question. Do you have to ride a camel?
You don't have to.
Okay.
The
Okay.
option is there, but you do not have to ride a camel.
Because you know what? I might look at that myself because I've always wanted to go see the pyramids and all that. But
Oh,
you're
we'd
not
love to
getting
have
me
you.
on a camel, Mike. It's not happening. Not happening. So if
No,
that's an
we
option,
have very nice tour buses that drive us around from place to place as we need to go. So it's wonderful.
awesome. Beautiful. So yeah, so you go to Egypt where and even places across the United States. You've got many
Yeah.
different places that,
Yeah, absolutely. I love the American Southwest. There's so much there. I'm also being here in Ohio. We actually have a lot of ancient mound structures like the Great Circle Earthwork, Serpentine Mound.
oh yeah.
But yeah, the American Southwest. You have Chaco Canyon, which I absolutely love. You have some really really fascinating origin stories at places like Montezuma's Well, which is just south of Sedona, where you have these Zuni and Hopi origin stories of the ant people that saved the humans during the Great Cataclysm and took them down basically into inner Earth. And
Wow.
it's a really, really fascinating location. So yeah, you find all that here in the United States so much. And then, yeah, with having a wife who's from the UK, we've been all over there through Scotland and England.
Oh,
Just now,
Glastonbury. Yeah.
yes,
Have you,
Glastonbury tour, which was incredible, and it was really fascinating there because we both sat down, did a little meditation to experience the site, and I got this vision of the tour before. the tower was there. I was like, no, there was a other structure here. There were megalithic stones that were once here, and so okay, that's just a little vision. But as we were walking, we were really about to walk out of the site, and we're just kind of doing one last once over of the tour itself, and all of a sudden, kind of looking down on this one side, it's like, wait a minute, the tour is on top of the stones. Like there are the old stones right there that the tour's built on top of. So yeah, that was pretty
Was
incredible.
confirmation for you, right? It was
Absolutely
confirmation for
confirmation.
your
Yes.
vision. And that's, as a medium, that's so important. I know what that's like. It's like you got to have the confirmation.
Mhm.
So, well,
Yeah.
before we talk about anything else, Mike, I just want to let our viewers know that Mike will be coming to Lilydale this summer. He will be there in July, and I'm going to just tell you his class names and the dates. Thursday, July 16th from 2 to 5, Beyond Bermuda, Mysterious Triangle Areas of the World. Excited for that. Friday, July 17th, also 2 to 5, Travels Through Time, Become a Real Time Traveler with, there will be a past life regression with your
Yes.
wife, Catherine Swin. And that's exciting too. So not only can you learn about it, but you can experience it yourself firsthand. And then on Saturday evening, Mike will be doing a book signing at 5:45 in the auditorium. And you have so many books. So, I mean, I encourage people to buy them right ahead of time and bring them. But we will have, and Mike will be bringing books to sell so that if you forget it, right, you can buy it there and he can sign it for you. But at 7 o'clock, he will be doing a season highlight main stage auditorium event, Portals to the Stars, exploring the interdimensional universe from 7 to 9. So we get to have you for 3 days. I'm so excited. Um, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of personal stories in these classes,
Yeah.
and it's just so interesting. Um, so I wanted to give you a chance. Do you have, oh, I just reminded myself of something.
Sure.
You talked about the Southwest. Do you also do a tour to the Southwest with all of those sites?
People have been asking me for that. So it is something that we're probably going to be putting together here probably in the next year or two. It would be wonderful to do that. Um,
Yes.
we are I'm going to be teaming up with James Keenan for a tour to Mexico next year. So that'll be after we get back from Egypt. It'll be a little bit later in the spring, and he does a lot of work down in that area as well. So we'll be teaming up for that in Mexico. But then, yeah, for the American Southwest, like again, Chaco Canyon and all these other
Yeah.
places. Yeah, people have been asking for that, so we will do that at some point.
I that would be awesome. Sedona's on my bucket list too.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's very awesome. Okay, so are there any other events? I mean, because you're always going places to talk about what you do. Is there
Yeah.
anything coming up for you personally you'd like to tell the people about here?
Well, yeah, I mean, by the time this airs, we will have already, my event I have in Sierra Vista in Arizona will probably have passed.
Hmm.
But there's Parapsychon at the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio, which is always a fantastic event. You have a lot of different speakers that are there, fantastic vendors. It's in a wonderful historic location. It's so well run. I've always been impressed with that. Greg and Kathy Faketick, who run that, have been friends of mine for probably a good 10 years now, and they're wonderful. Really, a highlight for me this year
Before you
is
go on, when is that? When's the date of the
oh,
Parapsychon?
that is May 15th through 17th.
Okay, so this episode will air before then, so that's
Yeah. Okay.
fantastic. Mhm.
Good. Good. But yeah, really a season highlight for me this year is in October 8th through 11th. And I'll be speaking at the Ancient Mysteries conference that the Edgar Casey Foundation is holding in Virginia
Oh,
Beach. Yeah.
wonderful.
So
That's
really looking forward
wonderful.
to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to the Edgar Casey Center and it's an
Mhm.
amazing place in Virginia Beach. Well, that's exciting. Let's see. What other things should we talk about? Because we have a few more minutes here for the interview. Um, as far as like the portals, right? Portals to the stars. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, Portals to the Stars. So that's it's the book right over my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really a deep dive into a lot of the work that I've been doing in Egypt, into what they use the stargates for. Of course, I talk about stargates all over the world. Gets into a lot about Earth energy and our connections back to the cosmos. So when we look at, not just using the like a portal or a stargate to travel to somewhere else across the universe, these were used for a lot of different things. Whether they could have been traveling or communicating to other parts of the world, um, other dimensions, altered states of consciousness, a lot of different things that they were using, even time travel, that they could have been using these for. So it gets into a lot of that, and also the multidimensional nature of our universe. So it touches a little bit on the time travel aspect as well. So it's all connected, which is why I call the platform the Connected Universe, and the book series is the Connecting the Universe series. But I think one of the big takeaways that I want people to keep in mind is that we as humans are multidimensional in nature. So our fourth dimensional consciousness is inside our three-dimensional body and is eternal. So yeah, we'll lose the three-dimensional body, but that fourth dimensional consciousness is free to go. And this is the big debate: where do we go when we pass? There's a lot of evidence to show that we might linger around for a variety of reasons. It might be we go to one of these other dimensions. It might be something even further beyond that. The ancient Egyptians talked about returning to the constellation of Orion. They never really considered it the afterlife. We've put that term on it. They just considered it another part of the journey of life, and they're basically going back home. So there's a lot of interesting aspects that I cover.
That, what you just said for the last 5 sentences, is a perfect segue into talking about how does your work relate to the tenets of spiritualism, right?
Yeah.
Because it is so true. We as spiritualists believe that it's just a transition, that our
Mhm.
soul and our emotions and our love and our memories all go with us.
Yeah.
Where? But does it really matter, right? Does it matter where we go as long as we go? And
Right.
that there
Exactly.
is no such thing as death. It's just a change in form.
Yeah.
And so some people may say, well, this paranormal and all of this stuff doesn't have anything to do with spiritual, but it does. It does. It
Does.
really does, because it's all based on the same premise that we are so much more than our physical bodies.
Mhm.
And and the same premise that, like you said, our 4D lives within, our spirit is within us. And um so it's a more broader view of, like we deal as mediums in Lilydale, our job is to prove the continuity of life. And that's
Right.
done through bringing evidence in the reading, right? We
Mhm.
want you to know who you're talking with, right? And but it's more than that too, right? Because people will ask me, they'll say, what do you think they're doing with their time over there, right? And it's like, learning and growing, right?
Right.
Experiencing just like we do here. But
Yeah.
I mean, being able to, because like near death experiences and stuff, right? People,
Mhm.
have you ever had one, by the way?
I've not had a near death experience. No.
Okay, just wondering. I haven't either, but it's like people get to experience a little blip of that,
Yeah.
right? And then they come back and are able to share. But um, that's for me is the next big question. It's like, what are they doing? What are the spirit people
Mhm.
doing when they're not talking to us for the seconds and minutes that they do?
Right.
People want to know, so it's um, and maybe with all of this interdimensional travel and the state of consciousness and your work, right? Your continued work,
Yeah.
maybe 10 years from now, I'll be all wrinkly and we'll have another Zoom interview, and you'll be explaining how you've discovered how you can find that out. Who knows, right?
Who
Because it's
knows?
people like you that keep working in the field.
Mhm.
And just want to say thank you on behalf of all of us out here that have questions, because it's truly appreciated what you do.
Well,
And
thank you, Brenda.
it's no, I'm serious. It's like because I've always been one, and I ask too many questions, but it's like what if, right?
Right.
And it's
Yeah,
like
I
the
really
whole
want people just to, think outside the box.
Mhm.
There's this narrative that our traditional sciences try to keep us in and keep us focused on, and I want people to think outside of that. And all this stuff that I talk about. I mean, there's probably things in there that I'm totally wrong about, right? But as long as it gets somebody thinking, and they can take that as like, oh, Mike wasn't exactly right there, but he had an idea. Let me run with that. And it's what we're doing now is we're building off of our predecessors. They
Mhm.
had all these interesting ideas. Some of it has become science, which is fantastic. And but without that, without their forward thinking ideas, we wouldn't have gotten anywhere. And so we've built off of that. We're the stepping stones for the next generation. Hopefully the next generation picks up that mantle and keeps it going.
Yes, I think it's so important. Um, so you do podcasts, right? You have your own. Let's talk about your YouTube channel and how, what you do
Sure.
on there and how can people find you?
Yeah, my YouTube channel, which is the Mike Ricksecker YouTube channel, I have over 800 videos out there right now. I do run a weekly live stream out there called Connecting the Universe. I have a lot of other videos out there as well, like videos exploring ancient Egypt, American Southwest, a lot of these other locations. Some videos are just on a specific topic. So there's a lot of different types of videos out there, which I don't think YouTube likes. They seem to have a hard time placing me because again, you're right. I am very very diverse in what I
Yes,
talk
you're
about.
diverse. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the YouTube channel. I also have that as an audio podcast, so people can listen to it while they're driving in their cars or they're out on their walk or run or whatever they're doing. And I also have the blog, which is hosted on Substack. So a lot of these things just complement each other. So I'll have
Mhm.
the full length video. I'll have the written form. My archive of the Connected Universe book, which just came out last year,
Do you ever
is a
sleep?
lot of that
Do,
material.
do, do you ever sleep, Mike?
A little.
You're a busy guy, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. So, here my brain is back in the pyramid. Okay. So I'm back in the
Good.
pyramid. Just a quick question, So it seems to me from the little bit that I've learned, all of that possible neat stuff that they could do in the period is generated from the Earth's own energy,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
Because yeah,
absolutely.
right, it's like they didn't have, natural gas and all that stuff, back that, well, you know what I'm saying. So it's like, so if that can be generated from the pyramid,
Hmm.
how come we can't come up with some type of energy like that to be generated for everybody for free? You see what I
We
mean?
could. They keep shutting it down. Nikola Tesla wanted to provide free energy to the masses. And what was he doing with the Wardenclyffe Tower? He was harnessing the energy in the earth. He frequently referenced the pyramids harnessing energy. And for so long, they considered it just, woo woo, metaphysical, whatever. But they had scientific tests just 8 years ago that showed yes, the Great Pyramid of Giza is harnessing energy from the ground and storing it within its chambers there. But yeah, they shut Tesla down because it wasn't going to make money. It was
Mm,
just supposed to be free energy. So
yeah, that's a
that's
whole nother conversation,
unfortunately,
isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, because those are the kind of things I think about,
Mhm.
and crystals. I mean, it's just, yeah, just so much stuff. Well, let's repeat again. You're coming in July the 16th, 17th, and 18th. For anyone that missed it, you can find Mike on his website, and it's www.mikericksecker.com. All you have to do is put his name in Google. He's everywhere. You'll find him. I mean, his YouTube channel. I'm sure you have a Facebook page as well,
Yes,
right?
Facebook,
That
Instagram, TikTok, all that fun stuff. Yeah,
yeah. And I would be remiss if I didn't congratulate you on the show of your ceremony with your wife,
thank you,
Catherine. Congratulations.
thank
Very
you so
happy
much.
for you both. Your pictures are just beaming. So it's like very
I
wonderful.
appreciate that.
And
Yeah.
I am so looking forward to meeting you in person in July and
Yes.
participating in these events. And I just want to thank you again for taking your time with me today and talking about these things. And just so looking forward to it. Oh,
Yeah.
and if we're lucky, Mike's going to be working with me on a nice conference for next year. So we can
Yes.
bring Mike back and some other people back, and maybe we can broaden the scope for a few days, right? And make it a whole event. So very excited about that as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mike. And for all the rest of you listening, the Lilydale catalog should be in the office. Okay. So if you want one in person, you're going to have to call and they can mail it out to you, or you can stop by and pick it up. But you can always find it online at www.lilydaleassembly.org. It's flippable this year, so you don't have to be on a laptop or a Mac. You can use your phone. So you can go and you can find Mike's classes and you can click on it and reserve your seat because the classes, I could see them selling out. The auditorium is huge, 300 people. But I think, that if you're interested in seeing Mike and listening to him, that you should really get on there and get your seat. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Thank you again, Mike.
Thank you, Brenda.
Blessings to you.
Blessings to you.